I'm Diana Balmori, and I am the lead on the landscape side, and Earl over here.
I'll be leading the architecture and urban design side of our team. What we brought for you tonight was the origins of our team and how we put ourselves together, and like you've seen in the other teams, a few examples of our work to help us talk about those things. And we think that the competition board has done a fantastic job at putting together a series of principles which you've shaped an advisory committee around. And we're beginning to draw on those principles for inspiration to the project. The sketch we made here was about how our team would interact and actually how we would conduct our interview that got us through the next stage. I'm joined with Bill Kenworthy. We work for and with Alex Cooper and Jack Robertson. These guys were architects and urban designers before urban design was cool. So they designed Battery Park City in 1979. It's kind of the project that everybody knows them best for. And most recently, it was the project that took note because in Lower Manhattan, after Sandy, it was the one place where the lights stayed on. Together with Bill, we've sort of taken that experience of how it was done in 1979 and our experience on waterfronts, and we've managed to generate a number of new ideas and thoughts on what resilience in waterfront design means through our work with Mayor Bloomberg and his special initiative, through our work with the governor in New York Rising, and recently through the federal competition for HUD's Rebuild by Design. We design architecture, we design public open space, and the plaza you see here is Zuccotti Park, and it's all about movement. It breaks from the grid and you move through it diagonally as you commute to work on Wall Street in the financial district. It's about public art, it's about program, temporary program even at times on the edge. And it's about event. So Occupy Wall Street appropriated this space. And it demonstrates, I think, the range at which we need to be working as we address some of the design issues as we tackle the Bridge Park. About movement, it's about collection, it's about assembly, and it's about program and art. We've recently worked with Campbell Soup Company in Camden, New Jersey, to generate a strategy for open space and development that creates value in an area that right now is mostly vacant lots and parking lots. In Las Vegas, we've kind of turned the Las Vegas casino model on its head, and we've convinced major casino owners to not only focus internally on their casinos, but to take all of that retail and turn it out to the street, and then to redesign Las Vegas Boulevard's streetscape so that it's a great place to walk and a great place to shop and a great place to go to cafes. And in front of the New York casino, which you see on the left, and the Monte Carlo casino on the right, we've done that streetscape. It's built, you can see it now, and they're extending that idea into a Las Vegas first urban public park, which will connect the boulevard with the new arena at the west end. And there are some images of what that park might be like. I think Eric mentioned working through scales, and I think it's something that you should demand of anybody who's working on this project. And the work that Bill and the team have done in terms of designing at the macro scale, which I think is also something we need to deal with here on the Anacostia. They won an award for that in terms of designing the Central Delaware, 7 miles of waterfront. And it included components of infrastructure that helped span highways and connect communities to the waterfront. But at the end of the day, it was still about the spaces you occupy and how those spaces engage the waterfront in a way that's meaningful to individuals and their families.
These are my two collaborators on this project in my office, Theodore Herr and Noemi Laforie de Bonnet, and they are here in the audience. And I want to show you very briefly some work at the very large scale. We work on cities, and this is a new city that we won for the master plan, an international competition, and it is nearly built. It will be open in 2015, and I'm showing you because it is a really unusual idea of joining different ministries in Korea under one roof, which becomes a park. It's more like a bridge, and connects to the ground through different ramps. So it's connecting the ground level up to the 6th level floor, and gives you a 4K walk in your place of work every day, so that it's included in your daily life and not something that you have to go to somewhere else. So it's a way of putting a city together that is unusual in making the landscape totally a feature of the organization of all the buildings. In Memphis, we have been designing for several years now. It will open by the end of this year, a series of platforms for public performances on the River Mississippi, but treating the river as something that is mobile and alive. And some of those platforms get covered with water. Only the top one will not. And it's used for jazz concerts at the end of Beale Street, the famous Blues Street in Memphis. And each one of those levels, therefore, at different times of the rise of the river through the year, will be a totally different experience. So you'll live with the river and experience the river as it rises and falls. In the city of Bilbao, an abandoned port that was moved to the mouth of the river gave the opportunity to join a piece of the city that has very little open space to the river. This is the main axis that takes you through from the downtown to the river. And we were with OMA as part of the team that worked on Hoboken, which was just mentioned earlier, and has really offered a way of integrating all the issues of resiliency in a town in one system. But at the other end, we do very small and temporary things. And I think that this park bridge, which is simply a structure that we are building for you to act on, can take all kinds of other small things. This is in Bilbao, and we were invited to do a temporary garden. It's only done for 4.5 months to 5 months. And a rather deadly stair that led to the river, we put a temporary garden and changed the character of the stair completely. And for the Queen's Museum, we wanted to make a point about the fact that the question that has been raised about plowing the earth and destroying the structure of the soil. And so we put in a truck, a system of having the seeds come down, and we did wheelies on the piece of land and planted seeds at the same time in a superficial way, but it made an event. We had hot dogs served on the side. And we had an enormous amount of fun just driving the vehicle and seeding it. And we had a wonderful crop of flowers come out of it. And finally, for the Robert Smithson exhibit at the Whitney Museum, we were asked to take a project of Smithson that had never been, the artist Robert Smithson, that had never been built, which he wanted to put a piece of landscape to float around Manhattan. For him, that was a representation of Central Park, which he thinks is the heart of New York City. And so we built it and carried it around Manhattan and pulled out at all the piers, and people could go on and see the planting and experience the sort of floating landscape that then would sail away. We are enormously excited about really building a structure on which you can act. Thank you.